Hi.
Hi. Nice to be
Yeah,
talking
officially.
to you. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen your name all over Edmonton, like for forever. Like you
Yeah,
know what?
likewise.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like we're
and
just
we've
kind
never
of
met
in
before
different
today.
circles. Yeah, no. So this is
Yeah,
awesome.
it seems, and sometimes Edmonton feels like the smallest town, and then sometimes it's like you're just like
Yeah,
ships passing with people. Yeah.
Just like hi,
So
bye. No, so this is really exciting. I think I've never. I mean, every time I've kind of been in the seat of like JUNOs and all that stuff, it's kind of like the lone Edmonton sailor. And now
yeah.
there's so many amazing acts from our
Yeah,
city
it's
this
cool. Yeah,
year.
this is kind of like you've been nominated several times, right? So this is like,
Yeah,
does it feel like old hat now? Like
kind of, which like sounds kind of like, what are you trying to? But I think it's cool because now I know what to expect going
right,
into it,
right.
and there's like less pressure. Kind of,
That makes sense.
What do I have to? I don't know, just the air to perform or to be on,
Yeah.
is less so because I've kind of realized like it's just a fun time.
Yeah.
Like it's like now I get to enjoy it more than I did my first. But like,
Cool.
how is it for like you and like there's 9 of you in total?
Yeah.
So I could imagine everyone's reactions. Was, like,
Yeah,
kinda
I mean,
different.
for some of us, it as individuals, it was our first time being nominated. Other guys in the band have played on projects before that have been nominated, but as side people, because I mean, we're all side people. I'm also like I've been a singer songwriter for many years, so
Yeah.
I'm used to being a front person, but I'm also used to being a side person, and so to feel like collectively, like now, for everyone to feel ownership over that. That nomination, I think it was pretty cool for everybody, and everybody. One of the ways I was surprised, or one of the expressions of my surprise about how excited everybody was the fact that almost everybody's going to go
Nice.
to Hamilton for the JUNOs, which I wasn't necessarily expecting because it costs money to
Yeah.
travel across the country and everything. But 8 of 9 of us are going, and but it's funny that you talk about that you can be more level-headed about it now because it's it's not your first time. It is my first time, but I feel kind of level about it too. I think just because I'm old, like I've been doing this a long time, so it's kind of like I don't know what it would take to get me really like revved up.
Yeah.
But I mean, but it's still exciting, and I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be really fun to go.
Where were you when you like? I just can't imagine there being 9. So like, who found out first, and like, how did you tell the rest of the
I
band?
think I got a text message because I didn't know that the announcement was being made or anything like that. But my bandmate, the bass player in our band, Harry, do you know Harry? Harry Gregg?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Harry is kind of the main business guy in the
Okay.
band. He's the one who's always keeping an eye on this stuff. So Jamie, the drummer, and I got a text from him because the 3 of us are kind of the core of the band, like the business end of the band.
Okay.
So we got a text from him telling us in the morning. So I probably woke up to it and I was just like, oh, it was just like because I didn't know that they were being announced or anything like that. And so we had our little moment over text of like, yay, good job,
awesome.
guys. And then I think Harry told everybody else.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Maybe that was part of the reason that I was surprised to hear that everybody was planning to come because I wasn't present for their initial reactions or anything like that. But yeah, now that we're in the kind of the wake of finding out, it's interesting because we've all been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Like one of our bandmates is in his 20s still, but we range from I think Peter, our youngest, is 27 or 28, and the oldest member of our band is 71. So, and we just are the gamut between that. But most of us have been doing this a long time. Yeah. So I didn't necessarily I didn't know what people's responses would be, but I've noticed in these weeks that like band morale is very high. Like it's given everybody a nice burst of energy.
Yeah, I love that, and I think for the JUNOs, it is such like a positive reinforcement in a way,
right?
Because a lot of our genres are jury like adjudicated, so it's our peers listening to our music and being like, yes, this merits nomination or whatever. And I think for me that was the biggest surprise because the last year I called it my nonchalant era where I kind of forewent the whole PR gamut traditional release thing, because I've done it for so long, and I was like, what is the meaning of it anymore? Like, what is press? Even the point? Like, what is the point?
Right.
So I was like, I'm just gonna put out great music that I love, and like hopefully people listen. And so when I got the I was at work, and I was like, I kind of looked at the release and the names, and I saw my name, and I just like, oh my God. And my boss is like, what's wrong? And I'm like, what's wrong? I'm nominated for it, and then everyone freaked out for like 2 minutes, and it's like, okay, back to work.
That's a nice story of the finding out moment.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, are you famous? I'm like, I'm here, guys. So no.
But yes, but also
yes.
Like.
So that was fun.
That's cool. But for you, it's different, because your thing is like you make it happen. So it's nice that you can share it with your coworkers. If you don't have bandmates to.
No, exactly. Sometimes it is lonely in that way, because you're kind of trudging through it by yourself and like making things happen. But I couldn't imagine having a band and trying to wrangle like multiple people. Like, I do not envy you and your team at all, because that is beyond me. I've tried, just even with my side guys, when do you want to rehearse? And
even trying to schedule rehearsal. I know. No, but I'm actually grateful to, because I get there are different ways to have a band. Like, even as a front person, like with my solo stuff that I've always done, it's always had a real focus on like playing live, like lots of rehearsals and lots of shows, and so it is like being in a band, but you really are, it's on you to do all the scheduling, whereas now it's not just all on me, though. Like I said, there are 3 of us that are the core, and so I'm like the band mom, because I'm the only woman in the band, and I am a mom, so it's like there's that way that I kind of try to keep people from going off the rails in certain aspects, and I'll do some of the scheduling too, but Harry and Jamie, we all have our kind of lanes that we stay in, and they do their bits and work so hard. So for me, it's like having this kind of band is actually like better than the alternative, because it's not all on me. You know, it's like it's shared responsibility, and that it has challenges too, because then you really have to communicate. You have to get better. It's like it's like a relationship, because it is a relationship. But it's different than when you have people who are essentially working for you. And you're just then you're like a manager. And you're just trying to wrangle people.
No, I know that. Do you feel like now with the nomination, like, because I've had these conversations with other artists, and does the nomination now force you or kind of make you rethink what the next thing you're going to be doing? Like, is it going to, like, how do I ask this? Like, do you feel pressured to replicate what you did for this nomination?
That's a really good question.
Or are you now still kind of just like, whatever that was that, and we're still going to be more creative and kind of figure out the next thing? Outside of,
I think, well, I mean, it is interesting, because we just were in the studio recording our second album in January. I think I don't think the nominations had come out yet when we were in the studio. So we were just doing our thing, and we had already defined for ourselves how we wanted to, approach our second project. In terms of like what we wanted to lock in about the first time, and what we wanted to do better, and so that it's like now we don't have to think about that again until we make our third album. But I don't think so. And I think it's because we've all been doing it for so long that we've been through, like, I assume the other guys have been through what I went through in my 20s and even part of my 30s of, you're always kind of worried about if what you're doing is even okay, or if anybody gets it, or if it's good enough. And so kind of always pivoting to match expectations, or even perceived expectations, or but it's like, I think most of us have moved just beyond that phase of our lives. So I think that will, and I always feel like when we have 9 people in the band that all have artistic vision and opinions, it's like, that's enough. Like, we don't also need to consider other perspectives, you know, like in terms of the art of it. Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting too, because I feel like you just do what you do and it fits where it fits. Partly because we were nominated in the blues category, and like we're not strictly a blues band, and the album is not strictly a blues album, but and so, but we do seem to fit into that world. Like we get booked at blues festivals, and I mean, it's such a strong. It's so much in the roots of what we do. But, you know, so there's the question of like, well, you know, would we do better in that whole blues world if we deliberately were more like a blues band. But it's like, I don't know, it's a slippery slope if you start considering stuff like that, right? So yeah. So did you, how old were you, if you don't mind me asking, when the first time you were nominated?
I don't know. That's a math. I'm 41 now, so it was 2018. So that's 8 years ago.
Right. So yeah, you were still. So like, did you feel then like that what you just asked me about, like that you had to kind of meet expectations or keep doing that same thing again?
Kind of, because it's an adult. What is it? Adult contemporary album. What does that even mean? Yeah, you know. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm not fully R&B. I'm not fully pop. I'm like this in between. I'm not alternative enough to be adult alternative, so that's kind of where I thought it fit. Yeah. And when it kept getting nominated in the same category, I was like, okay, well, I guess this is where I live. Right. And then it was that pressure of like, okay, well, I gotta do the same thing again. I've gotta kind of step it up a bit more. Like, we want to be more commercial. We want more pop hits, and working with a lot of different producers kind of, it did what it did. And I don't want to say it like dimmed my artistry, but it kind of took away from how I started initially, which was like singer-songwriter, guitar, piano in my basement. Right. And it became this machine of like tracks and strings, which I love, a good dramatic moment, you know? Yeah. Like I love all of that. Yeah. But it just kind of went on its own thing. And with this record, went back to me in my room, guitar, piano, writing the songs, demoing them out. Like even most of the, if not all the vocals were done in my living room. Wow. Like under blankets. Like I really took it, like my project back. Right, wow. And it was really freeing, and I think that's why I'm just like, meh, it is what it is. You know, this time it's like, it's fun, and I get to enjoy it because I know the project is really me and like what I heard in my head without all of the other influences of the industry, which can get overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe, you know, because you've had the kind of legitimizing force of being nominated multiple times, that maybe that makes you feel now like, well now in some larger sense it's accepted out in the world that I do what I do, and so you can just do what you do, like that. Yeah. And I think it's like being in the rooms with like a lot of male producers, and you're just watching, and you're like, I could do that. Like that's not hard. Like you're just sifting through samples to find a good drum beat. Like, so, I can also scroll. My scrolling's very good. So it's just a lot of that. And then having, you know, the producer that I do work with, he's like, you could produce yourself. Like, it's just time and refinement, you know? That's really all it is, and finding your taste level when it comes to it. And so I was like, I can do that. Cool. So, yeah, that was really exciting, and I'm just grateful. And, yeah, and fun, I imagine. Yeah. Totally. Cool. Totally. Yeah, we sort of feel the same way as a band. And I mean, you know, one of our band members, he produces records for people, so, and he's an engineer, so we're really on our own in the studio. It's just the band in the studio, and I really feel like it's hard for me to even imagine an outside producer in the room. Like I said before, it's like, we got enough opinions already. Like there's already arguably too many cooks. Yeah. So like, you know, just do our thing. I couldn't even imagine. Yeah. Because it's our band's first time being nominated, there is I think the main thing it makes me think about the significance of recognition on that level is like a very practical thing of like, well, now that's in our bio, and if whatever we're trying to do, whatever festival we're trying to get booked at, or whatever it is, that it's like, that's just gonna make whoever's reading it or hearing it or whatever, that's gonna just it's gonna might get you through the door, and that's a really, like, that's a real thing. Like, that has real practical repercussions for the future in a really positive way. So that's, it's funny that it becomes down to that kind of meat and potatoes stuff, but it kind of does. Yeah. But it's cool too, because I mean, I don't. And again, this is something you've been through so many times before. But for me, we have the scene out here. We have the Edmonton scene. There's like a Western Canadian scene, and partly because I haven't toured out east before, it feels like I don't know what the world is like over there, like in Toronto, which is like the center of the center of the universe, or the industry as far as they're concerned. So that's an interesting aspect of it too. That to get the national recognition when we're way out here, there's a real regional thing that happens, right? Like what's your experience with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, like, just very, very grateful, and it does like elevate your profile. I like to say yesterday's price is no longer today's price. Like, like that kind of makes them perk up a bit and be like, ooh, JUNO's, okay. Like it gives you this sense of not like we weren't established before, but like what is it, bona fides, or like thing where it's like, ooh, they're above the rest, kind of in a classier way. But yeah, like for me, I like the JUNOs and kind of how it brings everyone together. And it does like allow acts like us from the West, to be kind of pulled in with everybody else and get to, celebrate together. And that's, I think, the coolest part is like bringing the whole country together to celebrate just what we did in the last year or two. And for me, that's the best part.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually, just meeting some musicians from, and I mean, our band is connected to a few other blues musicians from out east, and they're such nice people.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to meeting more of them.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best. And then meeting your other nominees, like you were just saying, like everyone has such a different path to get to that same place.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
And so it's always fun hearing their stories.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So this album, you produced it wholly on your own at your house, basically.
So I demoed all of it, wrote it, and then because I knew it was not as good as it could be, because again, refinement and taste. And so a lot of the samples, like sounds that I picked, and my drum beat is, I'm not a drummer, so it wasn't the whole, filled out hat, snare, cymbals. It was hats, like snare, kick, and some like right. So I did it, kind of built the world sonically, and then brought it to my producer in LA. Okay. And so then he was like, okay, I can work with it.
Right. So, and you gave him a good, strong sense of what your vision was.
This is what it is.
Cool.
And like for like electric guitars or whatever, I'll mouth, like play this, or like I'll map it out in a way that he gets what I'm trying to accomplish, and then we'll like recreate it and make it better. But the vocals, like I only spent a week there to kind of get the sounds correct, and then I came back and we finished it via Zoom, and I did the vocals in my apartment, and just screaming at the wall.
Cool.
Yeah, it was, I just, and I don't want to sound like I didn't care, but I felt like I needed to go back to that, like, I don't have any money, like, how did it feel when I was starting? I'm just going to do it in my bedroom and experiment, and I think it allowed me to be less vulnerable, and just, if it was shit, it was shit, like, kind of, that. But if it was great, some things would come out of it, and I was like, ooh, I would never have done that in the studio.
Oh, interesting.
And so it was
just
really
it's just you there, and there's no one else around.
Just me, and, just the ability to, like, there's one song, what's it called? History, maybe? I don't even know. One of them, the bridge part, is a multiple layer choir, or chorus kind of thing, and the harmonies were so, for me, unique, because I would have never done that in real, like, in studio time. But it was just layering one take, and then what would sound good on the next one. And then it was a different kind of harmony that kind of took it into like a John Legend, Alicia Keys world, and I was like, oh, this is so good. Right. But it was just me screaming in a box. Like my dad built like this makeshift like sound booth, and I was just having a good time.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like the difference there when you really are just kind of like a kid in a sandbox. Yeah. All by yourself, just like with your own imagination. Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. Not something I ever thought about. Because I don't have any capacity to record at my place, so it's like if anything I've ever recorded, I've been in a studio with somebody. But it's interesting because I guess there are different ways to do, what ends up being called pre-production. Because our band co-writes all of our songs, and so often what we'll do is we'll get together in a room, and sometimes someone will have an idea. Sometimes it's pretty fleshed out. Like I've kind of brought like almost complete songs to the band, and then we just. Well, someone will say, oh, let's put a key change in, or, and we'll kind of finish it like that. But sometimes we come into a room together with nothing and we just kind of jam something out. But then I'm the one who then takes the raw material once there's kind of like, like a pretty fleshed out form, like or very at least like a verse and a chorus. And then I'm the one who takes that away to write lyrics and melody to it, and which maybe then leads me to add a bridge to it, or, but I'm the one who kind of works with that raw material, and often where I end up doing that is in my car, like driving, because I'll have like some kind of like rehearsal recording or like a jam recording of what we did, and that's when I'm like by myself, because I'm going to pick up kids or something. Like that's because obviously my kids live with me, so my alone time where I can do like you did in your apartment is when I'm in my car, and that's when I kind of sort out. Like just like sing through lyrical ideas and melodic ideas, and just kind of through that repetition, it's like that's how actually a lot of our songs kind of end up getting finished off. So there's maybe some kind of parallel there. I'm not, because then when it comes to recording it, then I'm in the studio with all the guys. But in the creation of those, it is that kind of alone swirling time, which is that's kind of magical.
So how do you? Because I was listening to the record and like. Just the parts individual, because these are all heavy hitters in your band, so I'm just like, how do you get all of these like amazing talents to refine themselves? Because I've been in rooms where we're like, okay guys, with all great players, like let's try to write a song or something, and it just ends up sounding like John Mayer.
That's so funny,
because like they just pull from there, like this is the best thing that whatever. But even just like the horn parts, like is that something that the horn section would then take away and do on their own, or do you all collectively are in the room being like, this is what we're gonna do?
That's a good question. That's a good listening.
Yeah. Because there's so much, and I was like, ooh, like who's doing like this can't be all like everybody in the same, but it could be like
Well, I mean, there is it happens kind of magically like that to a larger extent than you might think. That it's not like one or a few of us like really like arranges the songs in our mind and says, okay, you play this. It's like it really is everybody kind of finding their lane. But with the horn parts in particular, that's been in sort of evolutionary process, because like when we made this record, we hadn't gigged with the horn players a lot before. Like before we made the record, we had a weekly gig at Blues on White where we had played 3 hours every Wednesday for so we were doing a lot of covers, but we were also kind of like growing our own material through that, but we didn't have the horns on that gig. So when we went to the studio, we got one of the horn players to write arrangements for all the songs, and then we kind of refined them in the studio and then changed them afterwards. And so as we've been working on the songs for our second album, which we just recorded, we've turned it more into a process of like, we'll get like maybe once the core of the band, like the rhythm section has kind of jammed out the tune, and then I've kind of fleshed it out and we know what it's going to be, we'll get everybody in a room together, like with including the horn section, and like sometimes the trombone player Peter, he will have like written like a sketch of the horn arrangement beforehand, but we do add in an element now of like fleshing it out collectively, so that even the non-horn players can. We've also tried like having some of the non-horn players write the horn arrangements, including me, which is like, that's when we learned. But there's a reason why horn players write, because they know what they're, like it's fun to try, but still we can have our, like I like to have input because you know, sometimes they're not always paying attention to what the vocals are doing.
Yeah.
So it's my job to go, maybe we can move that little shot over a little bit so it's not like right on top of the bit that I'm singing, or, you know, it's
exactly.
so that's kind of turned into a more collective process. And so, yeah, it's like, maybe that's just like the whole being in a band thing. It ends up being this balance between kind of people working on their own, at their individual things, but then also having that, bringing that into the collective and having it shaped collectively, which is, it's like, that's the bit that feels kind of magical.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you can't really understand how it works. Like, it's
just a download. Ding, ding.
Yeah.
How much of it was, because it's a very live album, so was it all, like, live can mean so many different things, like live off the floor, all playing at one time, or how much of the parts were recorded like separately, or like what was that process like, again, with like 9
good question. It's funny because, again, after this second time, how we did it for both of these records that we made was, what was live off the floor was basically the whole rhythm. Well, I don't even want to say the rhythm section, because what I mean by that is like bass, drums, both guitars, both keyboards, and my lead vocals were all done live off the floor.
Oh, wow.
And it was, the only things done after the fact were the horns and maybe a couple of, like, some percussion overdubs and just tiny things like that. But it's funny because, like, that's pretty live off the floor. And the only reason we didn't have the horns come in and track with everybody else was because we didn't have the studio space. But we sort of decided after the second time that next time we want to do it completely live with everybody, because we're more used to gigging with the horns now too. So we were in the studio, like, laying down the tunes. We were like, we can't feel it without the horns, you know, like. So it's like the answer is like pretty live, but we're trying to always get more and more live, because that's just what works best for us.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, no, I did a stint at the Common with their Wednesday Jazz kind of thing as their guest, and it was basically just drums, bass, and guitar, and that's not how I play live. Like, it's usually like strings or like a lot of backing tracks to fill out the gaps. And so just playing it stripped back, I was like, second song in my head, I was like, I gotta do this, I gotta capture this somehow. And I was like, such like a go. So next week I'm in the studio recording a version of one of the songs with that group live off the floor.
Cool.
Just because I was like, there was something about like the feeling of just playing together in such a stripped back way that I was like, oh, I miss this.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do I capture this tomorrow? So it was a lot of juggling, but we're doing it. So I'm excited to see.
Oh, so this is coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to see how it could be nothing, but it could also be like really great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It could be, because that's the thing. You got to get in there and try it out.
Just try it.
And I mean, I love working that way. I love getting a group of musicians into the studio and like just letting everybody kind of express themselves, or find that balance between kind of serving the song, you know, but bringing their own creative expression to that. Like, that's that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I know. Just, let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really interesting when I was listening. Just how I just couldn't even imagine. So kudos to.
Yeah, it's cool that we're chatting, because we're so like, in terms of studio approach, it's like almost like opposite.
Yeah.
But I mean, but we still it's like interesting that there's common ground in that. Like, what your sandbox time and my car time.
Yeah,
like,
no, totally.
That's super cool. So how did you end up naming your album New to You? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've always been trying to chase like my classic record. You know, Adele has her 21, and like Arctic Monkeys have their AM and all that stuff, and I was like, I need to find, like, I felt like I was always close to like the Nuela Charles sound, like internally. And so I was like, oh, I'm not there yet. Maybe this is it. And so I had my 22 record was self-titled, because I'm like, this is it. This is going to be my year. This is going to blow up. And like, this is me to the core.
Right.
And then when it kind of didn't do anything commercially, and I still love the songs, but I'm like, it was just bad timing. And I had, like I was telling someone, I had so much marketing money. Like, this would have been the record that does what it was supposed to do. And so when it came to kind of like my sabbatical and do I still want to do this? Is anything worth it? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Right, you had an existential
moment of like, what is my life?
Yeah.
I was like, and I started writing this record. I wanted it to be that self-titled moment, but I had done that already. And so it was, I can't do Nuela Charles 2. That's kind of lame. And when I looked at my name, I was like, well, it is new. Like, this record is probably new to a lot of people, and it was just a play on my name, Nuela, and then just recognizing that this is kind of my second attempt at my classic record, which is probably, this isn't it. I feel like I'm almost there, but I feel like as artists we're always chasing that you know,
chasing the dragon. Yeah.
We'll get it on the next one, guys. But yeah, that's kind of where that.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah.
And what's your guys's is?
Ours is called Answer the Call, and it's, I mean, it sort of defines something about how the band came to be. Well, where that song came from and the idea of Answering the Call came from actually some lyrics that I had kind of laying around from before the band was even becoming a thing. Wow. That was just about, it came from maybe one of my existential moments, and I feel like I've had many of them, you know, of just like how, you know, feeling lost and like, you know, feeling both like the, you know, that inner drive to create and to you know, make music and do what you do, but also accompanied by a feeling of like, the world seems to be telling me that no one wants this, you know, like that kind of thing. Yeah. And but also, you know, having spent some time with a sense that like maybe if life is about anything, like on a spiritual level, that it's something about like being in dialogue with the divine, that it's like you don't have to know, and like you both don't have to know what everything is going to look like in the future and how you can make that happen, but also you don't get to know, right? You know, you just got to kind of get in dialogue with whatever that is. And so the idea of like you just have to know that there's a call to answer, and you just got to answer the call, like, which seems like a hard thing to do, like on that kind of deep spiritual level, but it's also simplifies. It's like that's all you have to do. You just have to answer when the call is there, you know. And that is kind of relevant to how the band came to be, because it kind of feels accidental, because we, like, a few of us had been hired as individuals to make up the house band for the Pro Jam at Soho, which happened for a while. Soho, which is no longer. And after a few months of that, we were like, oh, we really have a lot of chemistry, and like we like to play the same kinds of stuff. Maybe we're a band, like, and it all just kind of went from there. And so it did feel like something none of us ever would have thought to do as like, this is the next thing I want to do with my life. But it was there to be, it sort of presented itself as something to be moved into, you know. So
I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's such a... It's very deep. Like when it is also like, you know, Answer the Call might seem very simple on a level, but when you think of it, I think we all as artists, we're not doing this because we're gonna get rich,
right? Yeah, like, nobody gets into music for the money, not if they're smart.
No, we do it because there's something intrinsic in us that has to be communicated. And I think I really went through that during my break. Was like, unless I literally love doing this, I'm not going to subject myself to the violence that is the industry anymore. Right? Yeah. And that's kind of where it came back from, where it was like, no, like, I'm picking up the guitar because I want to, and I want to, these melodies are coming because, like, I don't know, from somewhere, you know? Like, I have to write about this story because I need to get it out. Like, it's such a way of living, you know? That I think that's a really important moment in any artist's life, is that moment of, like, maybe I'll never write a song again, and that's okay. And then when the next bit of inspiration comes that needs to be met, then you know it's real. You know it's not coming from because you really are trying to make this career or whatever it is. It's like, you know, it just comes straight from that kind of drive to create that you can't describe. Like, no, totally.
So that's great. That's an important moment. Yeah, for sure.
so cool.
Yeah.
So like you guys are all from Edmonton. Have you all been here, or has kind of because there's 9 of you? So
yeah,
like,
we've
lots
all been
of
here,
walks of life.
Yeah, and we've all been here a long time. I think some of us. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Saskatchewan.
Oh, okay.
But I moved here a long time ago to go to college, and then like left the country for a long time and came back. But when I came back to Canada, it was unquestionable that Edmonton was where I was coming back to. It was like it's felt like home for a long time. And at this point, like I left Saskatchewan when I was 17, so Edmonton is as home as anywhere else, you know. But we got a couple Newfoundlanders in the band, but again, one of who's been here for a really long time. Right. That's Jamie, and Chad, one of our guitar players. We scooped him up. He just moved to Edmonton at the moment he joined our band. Like he had come here to play on a country record that someone was making here, because he's works on the country scene nationally.
Oh, guitar, electric guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who you're talking about.
Chad Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah. So he was living in Toronto for a long time. He's from St. John's originally. But he basically had a long-term relationship breakup, and he was like, I don't have to stay in Toronto. It's expensive, and where should I go? And so a couple of the musicians that he is close to who live here were like, let's get this guy. Yeah. So he moved to Edmonton, and we were like, now you're in our band. Yeah. But yeah, everybody has roots here for a long time, and like Dave Babcock, our saxophone player, he didn't grow up in Edmonton. He grew up in various places, Slave Lake and. But he's been such an important part of this music scene since the late 70s, and same with Bob Tilsley, our trumpet player, who's been, again, from Calgary, but has been such a part of the Edmonton scene for decades and decades. So we're definitely Edmonton, very Edmonton.
Yeah.
Did you grow up here?
No. So I was born in Kenya, then lived in Switzerland, then moved to BC.
Okay.
Because my family wanted to be cowboys, so.
Who doesn't?
We lived on a cattle ranch for a bunch of years, and then
whereabouts?
Williams Lake.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Like the caribou.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
It was beautiful. Like looking back, it's just like I was Yellowstone. Like, what do you mean?
That's funny.
And then we moved to the Bahamas, and then we came back to Alberta to finish my schooling, and then a year after high school, family moved to Edmonton, and then I went to college, but it was just like I kind of I lived in Vancouver for a bit, I lived in Toronto for a few years, but I keep coming back to Edmonton, and it's like, yes, family is here, but there's also that sense of the music community where it's like, I actually think I can make it in Edmonton, as opposed to I'm such a small fish in Toronto, and like, I don't know,
and I can't even afford to live here.
I can't afford to eat buy groceries, like just all of that. And so I think we're just so lucky in that way, and having known and met so many musicians from Edmonton that are either still here or have moved on to do like amazing things it's been really cool to watch. But when I saw your band name and all of the heavy hitters, I was like, of course. It makes sense that they were nominated for JUNO, because it's like the best of the best. Oh, when you think of like, musicians and hired guns and just like people you would want on your project, is like, yeah, they're right there.
Right. And they feel ownership in this one.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, we feel very, very lucky for that.
Do you feel like the community... Because I'm not, again, like we're kind of like passing ships in the night in terms of like our genres and the pockets that we occupy. But do you feel like the blues community with this nomination has kind of been like championed you like in Edmonton, or is it still kind of like, good job, guys?
Oh,
play
no,
the next set.
I mean, no, the blues. I mean, the blues community is really wonderful. Like, and the blues community here, is it's like there are blues societies in pretty much every city in Canada, and lots in the States too, and they're very grassroots and they're very connected. So that's something that's nice about the blues world. Actually, it's always all about the music, and it's always super, super encouraging and loving. So it's like, I feel grateful that we can be a part of that world, even though we're not like designing our music to fit into it. Yeah. But it's such a supportive little corner of the Edmonton scene. Like, really beautiful. But I think what you what you described about the thing that had just kept you coming back here, like that is a really real, that's a real thing. Like it was a little different for me when I moved here from Saskatchewan because I grew up in a small town, and so Edmonton was like truly a massively glamorous place for me, like, which is not often people move here and it's like the opposite. But what I noticed right away, the thing that kept me here and that made it for me feel like within a few months of living here that I was like, this is my home now, it was because I really felt something that I've now come to learn the history of, which is that Edmonton does seem to have this magical sort of matrix of factors that have to do with like the cost of living here and what the industries are and what just the infrastructure that's there to support people who want to make their own thing, you know. So it is a place where, number one, you can afford to live. Number two, there's kind of no sense out in the scene here that like if you want to make a record or like produce a play, like I used to do theater, like if you want to do anything like that you have to wait for someone with money and clout to give you permission to do that or to help you do that. It's like, you know, we have this enormous folk festival here. We have an enormous fringe festival. It's like there's so much in the history of Edmonton's cultural scene that is all about people just doing their own thing with whatever resources they have or don't have, you know, like, and that's what got me, you know. And that sounds to me like the thing that kept you coming back.
No,
you know?
same. And I think we like, even like when you were talking about that, I was just thinking of like the other nominees. There's like a rap an artist, Arden from Edmonton, nominated for Rap Album of the Year, and then Avenoir for R&B album, I believe it is. One of them, and they're just underground like kids who started in their basement, who built massive followings. Now one of them's on a national sold out tour, and I'm like,
amazing.
Who are these?
Then I start to feel really old. It's like I don't understand how things work anymore.
No, but
it's so cool.
Yeah, that they were, you know, they didn't have to leave and go to LA or wherever that might be considered more rap or hip hop or R&B. That it was Edmonton that, you know, they're still here. They built out their teams, and it's just such an amazing thing to watch. And it's exciting, you know, we're still.
And why would they want to leave? Like, you know, people that are from, you know, I spent a lot of time in Austin, Texas. People, obviously, you know, it's the live music capital of the world. So obviously musicians there aren't like, and then once I get big enough, I'll leave. You know, it's like there's like, I live here and this is where I do what I do. It's like, there's no reason why Edmonton can't be that.
Yeah, no, totally.
So are you planning a new record? Do you have something scheming up in your mind?
I mean, it changes every day, to be honest. And I think a big thing is trying to stay as grounded as possible and kind of remain in that world of DIY to an extent of how I did this last record, because I felt it was the most authentic to date, other than like the first record, which is always like kind of like, this is what I did and there was no pressure behind it, I just did it, but I like I said, I did that jazz gig, and that's kind of opened my eyes a little bit to be like, maybe I strip it back a bit more, maybe I go a bit more to how I started with the acoustic guitar and more live sounding, as opposed to like levels of tracks and backing stuff. And but I don't know, because I love a dramatic moment, and you know, it's just like the James Bond is always constantly in my head, and I'm like, I gotta make another one of those, and just so,
I mean, you could always make another one of those, but I'll just put this out there. The overhead's pretty low on trying something out with a group of people, like whether you record it or not, but just to like put a little group of people together and maybe start playing out a little bit, or you know, it's like. The overhead's pretty low on that. You could certainly give it a shot. No, I know. Always go back to the masterminding. You know, like.
But I like control.
Yeah.
I like to be in control.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that's. I think again, whatever I do, like I have to love it and I have to want to do it. For me first. Because I've spent so long just chasing like the hamster wheel of the industry of like, I gotta put out another record. Oh, cycle's over. Let's get back in the studio.
Right.
I need a Christmas song.
Right. Yeah. All that stuff.
All of that stuff. So yeah, I don't know, but I think just enjoying this next month with the Junos and
yeah, that's a good point too.
And then
just be in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, you guys just wrapped your second album.
Yeah.
So how does that look like for release?
That'll come out in the fall, where the timeline is already kind of being put in place, although we're still trying to secure funds, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely coming out in the fall.
Nice.
And it's just about finished being mixed, and we'll get the artwork done and all that stuff, and then we'll see. I'm sure once that's out in the fall, then Harry, the bass player, and who I said is the main kind of driver, he'll be like, okay, let's get in the writing room, everybody.
Album number 3.
But we'll see. But I mean, we're a live band, like we're all live musicians. Like we love to play. So for us, it's like we always want to have festivals to play in the summer, and we just want to be able to play shows, and whatever's gonna enable that to happen I have this big thing about like that, that slow growth, that maybe things don't always have to grow. Like maybe they can reach a point where they can just sustain and be good, and maybe that's enough. It's like I just want, and everybody in the band, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Like a couple of us have kids, and we also have other bands that we play in, and so my great hope for the future of our band is that we can just find a way to kind of sustain and maybe grow slowly, and just kind of try to keep on doing what we're doing. And I feel like I've been doing this long enough that I feel like the creative growth aspect of that will take care of itself. Like that's where you got to kind of trust and like be in dialogue. Like it's just getting older. It's like I have to trust that now, because I'm too tired to not. Like I'm too tired to be like, and now we have to do this, and now, but it has to be bigger. It has to be. It's like I don't have the energy anymore.
No. Like, not at all. I have a show coming up this week, and it's an early one because I want to be
right. Yeah, exactly. It's like none of this 2 a.m.
I know. I'm like, guys, this is for all of us adults. Doors are at 6, shows at 7. I'm on at 8. We're done by 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's perfect.
I'm in bed with a cup of tea at 10:30. Yeah.
Oh, that's so exciting. Yeah, so I mean, you guys have been kind of in the Edmonton scene, the music scene. All of you have long careers. What is something that, if you were younger, you would tell them, or any advice that you would give to someone coming up?
Actually, I know what I'd say. I'd say don't worry. Like whatever your worries are right now, just like, if it's possible to make them go away, just don't worry, because it takes a long time. Like it takes a long time to get good at what you do. It takes a long time maybe to make traction in the industry. I mean, if you ever can, because it just becomes increasingly baffling. But yeah, I think that's because I was actually recently working with some emerging artists, like artists who have an opportunity to go into the studio and record, some of them for the first time, some of them not, but I was kind of in that position, and that's what I wanted to say was like, it's okay, like it takes a long time. The problem is, if you say that to someone in their 20s, if someone had said that to me when I was in my 20s, I would have been like, no. no, we need to do this now, and I just want to be this, and and maybe it's inevitable that you hit the age of 29 or 30 and you feel like I haven't reached my potential, like, I mean, it's like you have to go through all those things. But so maybe all you can say to a young artist is like, you're doing great, like you're right on track. Like I don't know, like what do you,
time is a construct. No, like I started, knock this over. I started when I was 27, my first record. So I already felt late.
Oh, right.
I was already old.
And so you felt rushed.
Yeah.
And like...
So I was like, I gotta go. I gotta do this. I gotta make it the best possible. But everything that I've been telling people, I think what I would have said at that time is different than what I would say now. That back then I'd be like, work as hard as you can, learn everything about the industry, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Now it's just like, do you like what you do?
Right.
You know, as long as you love what you're putting out, that's all that matters. The rest of it is just cherry on top.
Right. And that's the one piece that has to be there, because if that's not what's at the core of it, then like, you're not gonna stick it out.
Oh, totally.
And
no,
yeah, exactly.
I was a guest lecturer at McEwen a couple weeks ago, and I had talked about grant funding and then all of like what the JUNOs entail, and at the end of, they were all very like, I could tell they were all very like, ooh, ah. But my last bit was like, honestly, guys, none of this matters. And it sounds really harsh, but it doesn't. Like, as long as you're okay with who you are and the art that you're putting out, you've won. And they were just like, oh. You could kind of feel like the sense of exhale of like, nice. I don't need to be chasing all of these things.
Yeah.
Like, it's good to know about everything, but as long as you're running your own race, then you've won.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's... I'm breathing.
Yeah, that's lovely.
You know,
and and young people need to know too that they have inherent worth as human beings, you know, too. Like, as a parent, like, that's the thing that I just want my kids to know, that they're enough, you know.
No,
like,
exactly.
Just as they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
No, it's my my honor, my pleasure. Thank you, Nuela. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was good.
That is a wrap.
I like this. Like, I think if you continue it, like, it's cool to be in opposite, kind of like, again, sailing, like.
Yeah,
like we're cool. In the same industry, but not same pockets.
Yeah, it's made for an interesting conversation.
Everyone's take is different.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that would be really cool to watch.
I am going to ask for a photo, if that's okay. I'm just going to step in the middle of you guys and